Welcome back to Pelangi 21. Today I will show you an Argentine drama film from 2011 titled Absent. A 16-year-old gay teenager named Martin undergoing a medical checkup. In the locker room, several times he stares at the other kids and his teacher. Later, Martin tells his teacher Sebastian that something had gotten into his eye while swimming. He allows Martin to go to the locker room, but Martin wanders around the dressing room, staring at the people there, and creating discomfort. Later, Sebastian takes him to the hospital to check his condition, but the doctor finds nothing. When Sebastian offers to drive him home, Martin says that day he will be staying at his friend Juan Pablo. He left his phone in his backpack, and is now unable to use it. Sebastian asks him about his family. Martin replies that his parents live out of town, and he only lived with his grandmother, and today his grandmother went to visit her relatives, and he doesn't know where they lived. Sebastian drives him home, and hopes that his grandmother was home, but as Martin said, there is no one at home. Not wanting to leave him alone, Sebastian takes Martin to his place, and tells him to try contacting his grandmother, but no result. While he is there, Martin is always staring at Sebastian, but when Sebastian asks him why, Martin looks away and says that it was nothing. Martin walks around Sebastian's place while looking at some photos of Sebastian with his girlfriend. Sebastian makes him dinner, then he calls his girlfriend Mariana to tell her what had happened. Mariana is very busy with her work, and she tells him not to worry too much, because his grandmother might be back that evening. Martin asks permission to use the bathroom. Sebastian brings him a towel, and he feels uncomfortable staring at Martin's body. In the bathroom, Martin finds Sebastian's perfume and uses it. Sebastian gives him his shirt for Martin. Martin comes out of the bathroom using only a towel, and Sebastian is having a visit from his neighbor. His neighbor is surprised, and Sebastian tries to explain the misunderstanding, but his neighbor tells him not to make a big deal of it. Martin apologizes. He didn't notice the neighbor coming. Sebastian explains to Martin that people often gossip there, so he hopes Martin to keep his attitude. That night, he drives Martin home, but his grandmother was still not there. Sebastian has no choice but to let Martin sleep in his place. He again explains that he could get into trouble, especially when he is a minor, so he asks him not to tell anyone. Sebastian also notices that Martin was using perfume, and Martin admits that he used the perfume in his bathroom. Later, Sebastian calls his girlfriend again to let her know what had happened. But his girlfriend is too distracted and preoccupied with her own problems, and doesn't provide a solution to Sebastian's problems. Her only concern is whether Martin might steal something from Sebastian's place. After that, Sebastian finds Martin sleeping in front of the TV. When he takes a shower, he feels that someone is watching him. Sebastian immediately looks outside, and finds Martin in the bathroom. In the middle of the night, Martin wakes up and goes to Sebastian's room. He starts touching his body. Sebastian wakes up and feels that something is wrong. He comes out of his room, and sees Martin who is sleeping. He opens the refrigerator to get some water. Martin asks if everything is alright, and Sebastian says no problem. The next day, Sebastian wakes Martin up, and makes him breakfast. Martin plans to take the bus to school, but Sebastian offers to drive him. The gardener sees them leaving together, but he doesn't say anything, but he looks at them with a judgmental gaze. In the teacher's lounge, Sebastian hears from another teacher how the parents of a boy came to school with the police that morning, thinking their son was missing. They were very worried and wanted to question all the students. But when they saw him at school, his father was furious and slapped him. The boy said that he was staying at a friend's place, but his parents found out that he was lying. The incident spread quickly in the school and became the subject of everyone's talk. Sebastian realizes that the boy they are talking about is Martin. But Sebastian still doesn't understand the reason why Martin lied to him. Martin spends time with his friend Juan Pablo, but he is still thinking about the events of that day. Juan Pablo finds a shirt belonging to Sebastian that Martín borrowed, and is about to wear it. But Martín doesn't allow him to wear the shirt. That night, Martín wants to return the shirt he had borrowed. Sebastian is surprised by Martín's arrival, especially since he is talking to his neighbor. When Sebastian is with Mariana, he wants to tell her about what happened. Again, Mariana is focused on her own problems, rather than listening to Sebastian. The next day, Martín skips school. Later, Sebastian sees Martín leaving a note for him. Martín wrote that he apologized for lying, because at that time he did not want to sleep at his house. Martín spends time at the cinema with a girl named Anna. He accidentally meets Sebastian, who also goes with his girlfriend. Martín gets nervous seeing Sebastian. He keeps glancing at him. Even though they are sitting next to each other, they pretend they don't know each other. The next day, Martín still doesn't go to school. Later, Sebastian finds Martín waiting for him. He asks the reason Martín lied to him, because if he gets into trouble at home, maybe he can help him. Martín confesses that if he had stayed at his place, maybe something could have happened between them. Sebastian is furious, and hits his face, because what Martín had done had gotten him into trouble. Martín challenges Sebastian, telling him to call the police, but doing so will cause him more trouble. The next day, Sebastian is called by the principal. He thinks that yesterday's incident would get him into trouble. However, the principal informs some kid tried to rob Martín and ended up getting violent, so they would move the class to remain within the school premises. In class, he looks at Martín, who is smiling at him, but he ignores him. That night, Sebastian tries to tell Mariana his problem, but Mariana still doesn't listen, and he is forced to keep the matter to himself. Meanwhile, Martín feels sad that he can't be with Sebastian. He distracts himself by spending time with Anna and Juan Pablo. Sebastian and Martín often meet at school, but they don't talk to each other. One night, Juan Pablo asks if Martín doesn't like Anna, because Anna spends a lot of time with him, but Martín only considers her a friend. One day, Martín accidentally fell off the roof after picking up his soccer ball. Sebastian finds out about the news the next day. At home, he takes the shirt Martín once borrowed. He smells it and looks sad. Later, he recalls about his past, when he dropped Martín off. Martín thanked him, and apologized for getting him into trouble. Sebastian replied that he had nothing to worry about. Sebastian is daydreaming again when he is with Mariana. He doesn't pay much attention to her, who is talking to him. When she asks if there was a problem, Sebastian says he was fine. Later, Sebastian looks at himself in the mirror, and recalls about the first time he helped Martín. Martín admitted that something got into his eye. Then Sebastian offered to take him to the hospital. He spends time with Mariana, and she talks about when Sebastian brought Martín to his place. She thinks that maybe Sebastian was having an affair by making up stories, so he could take a girl to his place. Sebastian replies that he had asked her to come when he allowed Martín to stay there. Mariana continues to talk about Martín, much to Sebastian's annoyance. That night, the two of them are going to a party. Sebastian realizes that Mariana had used the perfume in his bathroom, the same perfume Martín had used. Sebastian says that he doesn't like the smell. Arriving at their friend's house, Mariana gets off first, while Sebastian will park the car. Instead, he drives drunk and goes to the sports club. He barges in and makes his hand bleed. Then he sits by the pool. He sees the image of Martín sitting among the other students. Then he follows him to the locker room, and sees Martín smiling at him. Martín says that people can see them. But Sebastian doesn't care and kisses him gently. He continues that he wants to ask him to forgive him. Martín smiles, then walks away without saying anything, while Sebastian looks relieved to have said what he felt. The film starts with Martín, a closeted gay boy, who couldn't take his eyes off his swimming teacher Sebastian. He tried to get a chance to stay at his teacher's house by lying. There Martine was looking for opportunities to get closer to Sebastian. Sebastian was just being nice to him, but the judgmental gazes from others were on him. Especially since he brought a minor to his place. Shortly after, the lies were exposed and Sebastian had to face big problems. It is possible that Sebastian is not completely heterosexual, given that Sebastian imagines himself kissing Martine gently in the dressing room. There is a lot of debate about the ending of the film. Maybe this happened in the past, or it just happened in Sebastian's imagination. The film has little dialogue, because the film is built with sexual tension. Both actors did a good job of showing all of that. The story goes slow and the growing tension didn't make it interesting. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, and turn on notification.